CHGO Blackhawks Podcast, presented by PointsBet. Use the promo code CHGO when you sign up and get 2 risk-free bets for up to $2,000. My name is Mario Tirabassi, joined as always by Greg Boysen. A happy St. Patrick's Day to you all. For those celebrating, I have a coffee to
I don't know. That's a red cup, red solo cup. Is that coffee?
Just to ease the mind of all our viewers, this is a coffee.
Is there Bailey's in it?
It's an Irish coffee. I will
not comment on the heritage of the coffee.
For
but
the occasion, we'll just say it's
it is a coffee.
Everybody's Irish, even the non-Irish coffees on St. Patty's Day.
So hopefully everyone's having themselves a good and safe holiday. This is our first podcast that doesn't come after a game, besides our launch day on Friday. So it's nice to see the sun shining.
No, I didn't know what this place looked like in the daytime.
Yeah,
I'm used to having to leave and hope you get to the car safe at midnight, but this is nice. Daytime. I love it.
Yeah, it's been nice to see the old natural lighting in the building here. But so the Blackhawks are getting down to the wire. 4 days to the trade deadline. If you've been paying attention around the league, a number of moves were made later in the evening last night that have some implications to the Blackhawks and the players that they have available on the market. So we'll get into that pretty quick here. But also today, very exciting on the show. It is March. College basketball is underway in the national tournament. So we're gonna have a little fun here on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast. We're gonna have our own bracket tournament going on. So we'll reveal that later in the show. But want to start it off with the talk of the trade deadline. I mean, it's been something we've been talking about since we launched the show. The Blackhawks have been sellers for a while now. I think people understand, there's no reason to be bringing in anybody. They're selling, and they have some major pieces to sell. And what the returns have been so far for a number of trades makes it look like it's a seller's market. So Kyle Davidson needs to be working those phones.
Yeah, based on what we've seen, there hasn't been a lot of action, but what we've seen, the Josh Manson trade, the Ben Sherratt trade, even the
Kelly Yarncrook.
I always get that wrong, but
yeah,
even those are guys at the heart. It's definitely a seller's market based on what Ben Sherratt got and Josh Manson. We talked the other night about the Josh Manson, how that set the market, and he's very comparable to a Calvin Dahan. Man, what the Panthers gave up for Ben Sherratt surprised me. A first-round pick in 2023, which is the better of the two drafts, and a fourth-round pick in this year's draft. And then, not a top prospect, but definitely a high mid-level prospect. That's a lot for a guy that I don't think tops out. He's not a first pairing defender.
No, he was thrown into a situation in Montreal where he was not the player to fill that role.
So he'll get in a better situation in Florida where he's going to play to where he should be slotted. He'll be on their second pairing most likely, and that's where he belongs. But that's a lot to give up for a second pairing defenseman. And I'm looking at Calvin Dahan, and that's a second pairing defenseman. I mean, if Kyle Davidson settles for anything less than a second round pick right now, I'm going to be disappointed.
Or even multiple mid-round pick.
Like you could get
a third this year, a third next year, something like that. If they move Dahan and hold back some of his salary, you have to be thinking first 3 rounds, second round, third round, something like that. I think the way that we've seen the trade market and the returns so far, I think Calvin Dahan should definitely be one on the move, obviously, but his value is just, you're seeing it go up.
Guys, thoughts on January's question here on screen here?
The Brusque for Strohm or
the Bagel
or Brandon Hagel. No.
Yeah, no. I think the Brusque for Strohm was an easy trade about 2 months ago when both guys were struggling. Both guys wanted out. Both guys have turned their seasons around. Neither of them might not get traded right now. But at this point, if I'm trading Dylan Strohm, it's not for Jake DeBrusk. I think the
for
way
Jake
he's
DeBrusk
playing
and more.
Right. I don't know if Boston wants to trade Jake DeBrusk anymore. So that's kind of a weird situation. How both of those guys seem to be. They would have been a perfect 1-for-1 trade in December, but now I think either one of them should garner more than just each other.
It's no longer worth it to flip them 1-for-1. If you're Boston flipping DeBrusk, or if you're Chicago trading Strohm, it's got to be picks or NHL ready player plus. Like it's both of their values have gone up.
If Jamcroc got a second and a third round pick, then I need a first round pick to trade Dylan Strohm. He got
a second, a third, and a seventh.
Right. So three picks for a bottom six guy
who's going to be Calgary's third line center, basically.
Right. So if that's what the market is for centers, Dylan Strohm better. If I'm trading Dylan Strohm, better be for
Dylan
first round
Strom's
pick.
Multiple picks, and the interesting thing I think with this is that with this trade deadline, being that the 2022 draft class and the 2023 draft class, a lot of draft analysts are saying it's deeper in 2023 than it is this summer. We might be seeing a lot of like we saw with the Manson deal, like we saw with the Ben Sherratt deal. We might be seeing some of these younger prospects who were like third round, second round picks moved instead of actual future draft picks or draft picks this year. We might be seeing a lot of young players moving, and that's to me that gets me a little bit more excited, because instead of just saying, oh, the Blackhawks brought in a future second round pick, you're saying, oh, we brought in prospect XYZ, and there's already, you look at that player immediately and you're like, oh, okay, we know who they are. It's not you take out the liability of potentially drafting the wrong player. You take out that what if factor, and you have a prospect that's already likely had some development. I think that's pretty exciting to see if Chicago will take the picks, or if they'll take younger prospects back in some of these trades.
I think a good mix of the two is the right way to go. You need both. In a rebuilding franchise, you need a ton of prospects, and you need a ton of picks to get more prospects. They're currency at this point. A rebuilding team, that's what you use. They're your assets. The more you have, the better success you have to have a successful rebuild. You just can't you can't have three guys and say, hey, we're rebuilt. You got to have waves upon waves of prospects, because even when you get good, you still got to stay good. Look at Tampa. Look at Carolina. They've got prospects coming out of their ears, it seems like. Tampa, oh no, we lost a guy to the salary cap. Let's just plug in this guy who's going to, in 2 years be a all-star. You got to have that. Even when the Blackhawks were winning Stanley Cups, they never really had that. They had that first wave, and then after that, you have okay guys. And that was one of the biggest reasons they were never able to sustain past 2015, is you didn't have that second wave of guys.
Yeah, the players that they rode through those cups just got older, and they just never.
And you traded away all your
replacements.
top picks to get guys like Andrew Ladd to come back, to get to get your rental guys. You had to give away a lot of that, and that's what some of these teams. We'll talk about it here in a few minutes, I'm sure, but that's what some of the teams now. Is it worth winning one cup now, or do we want to try and keep this thing going? And I think the fan bases will say, let's win now. I don't care about 2024. I want to win in 2022.
Exactly.
So the Blackhawks, Kyle Davidson, they are in a great position right now. They are in a seller's market. They're one of the few teams that have needed commodities. And I'm feeling optimistic today. A lot better about this trade deadline than I was a couple days ago, based on what some of these returns are. Davidson needs to go out and hold strong. And listen, teams are desperate now. Teams are getting guys injured. Teams are maybe not making the playoffs. They're fighting for it. Now is the time where you cash in. It's time to start, as somebody said on Twitter the other day, it's time to start fleecing some of these general managers.
Yeah, the Blackhawks have been on the wrong end of it enough times.
I wanted to point out this comment from Surf and Duke, who said that interesting that Kubalik is being pursued by teams that aren't necessarily in the playoff race. Sure, they're trying to buy low, but the Hawks shouldn't sell as low as those teams want them to go. Yeah, we want Davidson we want him to be the fleecer.
Exactly.
Not the fleecee.
making any deals with teams that aren't in playoff positions or aren't fighting for playoff positions right now does the Blackhawks almost no good, because one, those teams aren't going to be buying, and two, they're not going to be willing to give up top picks, top prospects, because they're in the same boat that the Blackhawks are in, where they're going to be looking to build up their picks and prospects. So yeah, Kubalik being tied to teams that aren't in the playoff race, it's not worth it. I mean, Ben Pope has been reporting recently that Anaheim, Edmonton, and Winnipeg are all in potentially in on Dominic Kubalik. I'd also throw out a team like the Penguins, who are looking at some potential depth scoring. That could be a team that could look at a player like Dominic Kubalik. And we've talked about it on this podcast that he just hasn't been the same guy for basically 2 seasons, quote unquote full seasons. And, I was very skeptical on what the, return could be for him, just based off of what he's been doing this season, what his restricted free agency status is like. But then seeing the Yarncroke deal, I was like, oh, okay. I was definitely, I was off the bandwagon of, oh, Kubalik's going to get a top, top prospect, top pick in return or something like that. I thought, man, if we can get a mid-round pick, that's what it feels like. But then seeing the Yarncroke deal, and I'm just like, okay, maybe he can get a second-round pick. Maybe he can get, a lot like Calvin Dahan. Like, maybe he can get one of those, higher round picks or multiple mid-round picks or something.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect that. But you mentioned the 3 teams connected to Kubalik from Ben Pope, who does a great job with the Sun-Times. Anaheim, Edmonton, Winnipeg. They're all in the playoff race. As of now, Edmonton's a playoff team. They're in 3rd place in the Pacific, just 2 points ahead of Vegas for that 3rd place spot. So they definitely could use a little more offensive punch. If I'm Ken Holland, I'm looking to upgrade at goaltender, or defense. But hey,
just try and outscore all your opponents. I mean, that you can do that.
It's a proven time-honored way to lose in the first round. Yeah. But Anaheim and Winnipeg, they're out of the race now, but maybe they're looking to make a run. As of now, Winnipeg is just 2 points behind Vegas for that last wild card spot. Ducks are 1 point behind them, so 3 points out. So
those are desperate teams.
Those are teams that are like, hey, we need a guy to make a difference here. Maybe Kubalik makes a change of scenery, and all of a sudden he gets that scoring touch back. Who knows? He's a guy that definitely could score in bunches. He can win a couple games for you, and right now that's all they're looking for. He can be the difference between missing the playoffs and not, and making the playoffs.
Yeah.
But if it's a team that's not looking, to maybe use him this year for a rental, he's still under team control. He's an RFA at the end of the year, so maybe that's a guy you move ahead of the draft in the offseason. You trade his rights to somebody who's looking for more of a long-term thing. But those are 3 teams that are trying to make the playoffs, holding on hope that they're going to make it. Edmonton right now is probably the best shot of, not probably, they are the best shot of making the playoffs out of those 3 teams. Mm-hmm. I don't get that fit in Edmonton.
No.
They should be the one calling for Calvin Dahan or Marc-Andre Fleury, but you do you, Ken Holland. You give you give those podcasters and writers in Edmonton a lot to write about. I'm almost jealous. Almost.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, like, we're 4 days away from the deadline. Like, literally, 4 days. We're running out of time. Teams, these things happen quick, and there's a lot of players still out there that are, said to be available on the market that you have to figure out what's going to happen with them. Guys like Claude Giroux, Mark Giordano, Jacob Chychrun, if his injury is not as bad as it was initially thought to be, you might see a trade where Chicago might double up and might say, hey, Kubalik and Dahan to Edmonton or something like that, and the return gets a little bit bigger. You might not have a lot of time for all these trades and whatnot to for the dust to settle before the Blackhawks can say, okay, we're going to move, Kubalik, Dahan, Carpenter, maybe Fleury. Like, they're running short on time, so we might see a move here where they double up, or it might get to a point where they triple up and just say, here's a huge return for
all of our guys.
Major package. Like, here's Carpenter, Dahan, and Fleury or something, like, just throw everything at one team and you get you get a lot back.
But I think patience is okay right now for Kyle Davidson. A team that was maybe in on Josh Manson and Ben Sherratt, and now when Mark Giordano inevitably goes, maybe a team that wanted all three of those guys and missed out, now all of a sudden are willing to pay you more for Calvin Dahan because they got to get somebody and not get, instead of not getting anybody. So, when you have the fourth or fifth guy on the depth chart for that position, it's okay to be a little patient. Come Sunday, come Monday, I think those phone calls are going to get a little more. There's going to be a little more desperation on the other end. So, for Davidson, it's okay to wait it out, to play it out a little bit, and see if you can get a little bit more. Don't set the market. Let the market get set, and then go off of that. And how bad these guys. How bad these teams want some of these guys. So here's your time to make your. You only have one time to make your first impression. So he needs to make his first impression of being a tough negotiator and a guy that gets what he wants in these deals. I think the Blackhawks have had a reputation with some of these deals that Stan Bowman has made that they don't get enough value in their trades. And this is Davidson's chance to change the narrative, flip the script, as they like to say. And all of a sudden, hey, when you call the Blackhawks for a trade, you better come with your best offer or you're getting hung up on.
Yeah, and it's not that, this rebuild needs to be like started and completed in one trade deadline, in one offseason. Like you said, patience is going to be key with it. Not only with Kyle Davidson, but also with the fan base and with the players. Like developing these future picks and these prospects is going to be a process. So yeah, like, while you're not going to get everything done in one deadline and one off season, you got to be able to make the right first impression, get off on the right foot, so that you're not moving players just to get mid-round picks and say, oh, okay, we're going to build up our mid-round picks. The Blackhawks prospect pool already has enough mid-round picks that they're trying to develop into NHL players.
We have a prospect pool full of tweeners right now that are going to top out as third line, fourth line guys. You don't build Stanley Cup champions with third and fourth round picks.
Right.
You got to get first rounders, second rounders. You got to hit on them. You got to develop them. You got to be patient with them. Something Stan Bowman had no interest in any of that. He was easy to trade his first round picks. Then he'd get a first round pick in 2 years. He's trading them for some, Alex Nylander. For Christ's sake, that's still just, I was one of the biggest Stan Bowman defenders until that trade. When he made that trade, I was like, get this clown out of here. But drafting and development is why the Blackhawks are in the situation they are right now. They have to change that, and it starts with this deadline. Now, you can't win or lose a rebuild at your very first trade deadline, but you could certainly lay a very good foundation, a culture. You start your culture here. They're preaching, they're saying all the right things about drafting and developing. Well, you start it now, you lay down the foundation now, and then you build your championship house on top of the foundation.
And coming out right and saying, hey, we're going to rebuild. We are, we're going to be patient. We're going to take it at 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. And the key is to not, for Davidson, from what he's been saying so far, is not changing the plan, not deviating from the plan, staying the course. Like you said, like that's something that with the previous regime with Stan Bowman, it was, oh, we're going to do this. Just kidding, we're going to do that. And it's having that that single track and sticking to it and being able to hopefully have it be successful in 3, 4, 5 years. Like you don't want to be restarting this process because it was fumbled out of the gate. So
you don't want to be the Buffalo Sabres or the Ottawa Senators who are constantly rebuilding.
Absolutely,
because they don't have a clue on what they're doing. You gotta do it right. And now this Monday, between now and Monday, is your first step in a series of many steps. This is going to be a marathon. It's not a sprint, but you know what? The start of a marathon is just as important as the finish. If you get off on the wrong foot, it's going to be a long race. So get off on the right foot, and I think they're in a very good position to really get tremendous value for what they've got available. And now it's up to Kyle Davidson to get that value. We'll see.
And a good way to get the fans on board with the rebuild is to, come out of the gate and say, here's our plan. Here's the difficult decisions we're going to be making to make sure that in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever it is, we're able to potentially parade the Stanley Cup around Chicago again.
Transparency. In an organization that got flipped upside down because they refused to be transparent, and then they love to throw that buzzword out, even though then they figured, hey, we're going to tell you we're going to be transparent, but then when asked about we don't need to go into all that. But just tell us. I think every fan can get on board with a plan if there is a plan and it's well laid out. Transparency is huge. Hop on the ride. That's the slogan we're using. Hop on the ride. Tell us where this ride is going to take us, but not only tell us where it's taking us, but tell us the stops we have to make along the way. A lot of them are not going to be easy. A lot of them is going to deal with some bad hockey. But as long as we know that what the end goal is, a lot of fans can jump on board with that. They will hop on the ride if you tell us not just the final destination, but all the ups and downs and crummy stations we got to stop at before we get there. Transparency is key going forward. They preach it. It's time to practice it.
And that's going to be the easiest way, like we said, to get fans on board for sure. Getting fans on board, best way to support CHGO as we as we continue to grow, is to download the PointsBet app. We use the promo code CHGO when you sign up, and if you do that right now, you'll get 2 risk-free bets for up to $2,000. But that's not it. If you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you'll receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content, and you'll even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. That's $2,000 in free bets, a free CHGO membership, and a free t-shirt from the CHGO locker, all for making a $50 first-time deposit at PointsBet. If you have any questions, you can email pointsbet@allchgo.com, and we'll be happy to help out. Introducing PointsBet's new feature they're very excited for, especially this time of the year. It's live college basketball same-game parlays. For the first time ever, you can build the perfect live same-game parlay only with PointsBet. And right now, online sign-up is available in Illinois, so you can download the PointsBet app and register your account from start to finish, all with your phone. Plus, during PointsBet Match Madness, all users can earn up to $100 in free bets. During each round, just place a $50 pre-game wager and get a free $20 live bet to be used for that round. So what are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. Gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. One player that we haven't mentioned yet, as we're talking about the trade deadline, that is, it seems to be changing by the minute what may or may not be happening with the player, is Marc-Andre Fleury. We've for months now, it's been, is he going to stay? Is he going to go? What team could he go to? Why does he want to stay? Does he want to stay in Chicago another season? Is he going to play another? All this back and forth. We've talked about it. I'm sure everyone has been keyed into what may or may not happen with Marc-Andre Fleury. Some news today from a couple different outlets that's very important in what might happen or might not happen with Fleury. I'll start off with late last night in his 32 Thoughts post, Elliot Friedman of Sportsnet says that Colorado, Edmonton, and Minnesota have taken themselves out of looking for goalies on the trade market, basically leaving Toronto and Vegas as potential trade partners for a Marc-Andre Fleury. Darren Dreger of TSN, when talking about Toronto, says that they do not want to give up their 2022 first-round pick for a rental player. And just before we started the show, from Jesse Granger of The Athletic with Vegas, Robin Lehner's injury that has kept him on the sidelines for the last few games could be, is not official, could be season-ending. So you're looking at a team like Vegas, who has not had an easy time coming down the stretch here, trying to stay alive in the playoff race. That
just breaks my heart.
They might be so desperate to come back to Chicago and say, "Hey, Mark, we're sorry how that all happened last summer, but would you come back and do us a solid and help us out here?"
That would be the most hilarious story in sports this year.
That is the long.
That is eating some serious crow.
Oh,
from
yeah.
Kelly McCrimmon right there.
That's the long game of fleecing a trade, because you acquire the player for nothing and then you
sell
flip
them
them
back.
for, I mean, who knows
Everything.
what.
Bleed them dry. And they don't have a lot left though.
Right.
They trade their first round pick. All their top prospects are gone. There's not a lot there. So if I'm Marc-Andre Fleury and Vegas comes calling, I tell him to stick it. Like, screw you guys. No way.
Well, and that's the thing, is that Vegas might already be on his 10-team list. We don't know.
So, and if I'm picking between those two teams as far as who I want to trade with, I want to go with Toronto. They've got far better draft. They've got far better capital to get back. And I'm sure that comment by Darren Drager just went over splendidly with Leafs Twitter.
Yeah.
I'm sure you don't want to give away. You don't want to trade your first round pick, but I guarantee you every single one of those rabid fans that are sick and tired of hearing about 1967 will trade their
First round exits.
will trade their entire draft class for the next 10 years to win the Stanley Cup now. So you try and sell that, Kyle Dubas, to your rabid fans that nope, I value our first round pick in 2022 more than winning a Stanley Cup this year because we can't get Marc-Andre Fleury. Good luck, buddy. Good luck, pal. Sell that to the Toronto media. Get some more security at your house is all I'm saying if you're going to try and sell that.
I mean, if Toronto's going into the playoffs and their goaltending options are Peter Mrazek, Jack Campbell, and Eric Källgren,
Another first round exit. Done.
I have no faith in that.
No
No
as much
faith
as
in
I
that.
want to see that, because I no offense if we have any Maple Leaf fans listening, but Maple Leaf fans' tears are what get me through the spring. They are fuel. But you got to go out for Marc-Andre Fleury if you're Toronto. You have to.
Have to.
That's your guy. That's your missing piece right now.
They either need to bring in a guy like Fleury who's playing right now, is, you know, he's got some momentum going and he's got the pedigree to be able to do it, to go on a long playoff run. You either got to bring in that, or you got to look at improving their defense. And if they're getting, you know, shaky about giving up their, you know, this year's first round pick, or maybe even next year's first round pick, whatever it ends up being, they're not looking at a Chychrun or a Giordano then, because you're going to have to give up that first round pick for that. So, I mean, is Calvin Dahan in play for Toronto? Maybe, but does he have the impact that Fleury does? Absolutely not.
Right. No, I mean, we know here in Chicago, you don't have very many opportunities to win it all, to win a Stanley Cup. It is very, very hard to do. We got spoiled for 6 seasons there, but it's very hard. And Stan Bowman, he gambled his future to win those titles. And you know what? As much as it stinks right now that the Blackhawks don't have very much coming up through the pipeline, I'm glad we're in this position because we got to see 3 Stanley Cup parades because
Worth
of
it.
it. Totally worth it.
3 and 6, baby.
Would do it
Very
100. I
worth
would go
it.
on a 20-year rebuild for those 3 titles. And the fans in Toronto would do the same thing. They wouldn't care if they win another game as long. Just like I'm a lifelong Cub fan. The Cub base and the Toronto base are very similar in a lot of ways. And once I saw the Cubs win the World Series, I didn't care if they ever won another game. I saw the thing that my grandfather never saw. I saw the thing my father never got to see. Make it happen. And if you're afraid of a first-round pick, losing a first-round pick, some unnamed guy that's not even drafted yet is going to ruin your franchise, and you're willing to sacrifice a run to Stanley Cup, you should be fired immediately. No questions asked. Pack up your stuff in a box and get the hell out of here, because that's a bad GM. That's a bad general manager.
It's a bad
That is
move.
a weak, scared general manager. And you know what? Good luck.
I'm curious.
it.
I'm curious. Like, what realistically do you think that the Hawks could get from Toronto, like for Fleury? Like, what?
I
what
think
are they
it has to
looking
be a
for?
first-round pick.
First-round pick.
Either this year or next year.
prospect, at least.
And then, yeah, I mean, you look at the returns for some of these players that have already happened. Fleury's going to be more impactful in Toronto if that's the team he ends up with than Sherratt or Manson or Yarncroke will be with any of their new landing spots. So you got to think it's a first-round pick. It's another top round pick, like maybe another future second. It should also involve a top prospect. If I'm Chicago looking at Toronto's prospect system, I'm looking at Nick Robertson. I'm looking at Matthew Nyes. I'm looking at someone up front, an area that in Chicago's prospect system is very thin. I'm looking at a forward that's going to be impactful, and I'm looking at either Nyes or Robertson if I'm Chicago.
And the Hawks are in a unique situation because they have the best goalie available, and it's not even close. Who's available after Marc-Andre Fleury? Nobody that
Alex Georgiev.
Sure, knock yourself out.
I mean, that's
not a guy that's taking you to a Stanley Cup.
No,
Marc-Andre Fleury has won Stanley Cups. He knows what it takes.
Well, he has 3.
Right.
He was the guy for 1.
Right. But he got
Vegas. But he got
Vegas to a final.
Got Vegas to a final,
but he knows what it takes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He's the only goalie on the market that even gives your team a sniff of the Stanley Cup final right now.
He's the only goalie that puts a team over the top.
So this is another challenge for Kyle Davidson because there's nobody setting the market for goalies. He's setting the market for goalies, and he's got the only guy. So this is where you get tough and you dig your heels in, and you make Toronto or now Vegas. Oh, you make Vegas beg on their knees like no other. You make them grovel, and then still tell them no, just because I'm that's how I am. But here's one team I think would be fun. I don't think it's going to happen, but it's another team that's fighting for a playoff spot. Just had an injury. How about the Dallas Stars?
Yeah.
Hudobin is out for the year. They've got Jake Ottinger. They got Braden Holtby. Not two guys. I'm a big fan of Ottinger, but I don't think he's quite there yet. Holtby's a guy that best days are behind him. But just for the storyline, how much fun would it be to have Marc-Andre Fleury and Braden Holtby in the same crease during a playoff run? Those guys have history against each other. Penguins, Capitals, major rivalry. They faced each other in the Stanley Cup final when Fleury was in Vegas. How fun would that be to have those guys?
That would be pretty fun.
Your 2 goalies in Texas. I don't think that's going to happen. But
no, you'd have
again,
to,
as a writer, the storyline makes me want to see that happen.
Absolutely. I mean, in a trade with Dallas, would Chicago bring back Holtby to make the money work? Because I not off the top of my head, I know, I know, but I'm just
way to ruin my headline, Mario. Man.
Well, I'm just I not off the top of my head. I don't know where Dallas is in their cap situation, but yeah, they don't really have no space. They have no space to make that work.
So you'd probably have to take. You
probably got to take. What's Holtby making? Oh, he's only on a $2 million deal, expiring as a free agent, unrestricted free agent at the end of the season.
So maybe you don't.
Maybe you don't have to.
Maybe you got to take.
Maybe you got
to take a bad veteran contract that's good for another year or two.
Fleury for John Klingberg?
Sure. I don't think
Dallas won't do that. No, but I mean, I'm just
I don't think it's going to happen, but I thought that's a fun scenario, fantasy scenario. I mean, man, if you had Fleury and Holtby as your 2 goalies in your fantasy team 5 years ago, you probably won the league. So it'd be fun to see that in real life.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's fun to kind of look around the league and say like, okay, like what are the actual like fits that the Blackhawks have or they would have for some of these players. Marc-Andre Fleury. Like we talked about, Vegas, Toronto, it seems like the market is just kind of narrowed down to. And again, if he wants to go to either of those teams, which it sounds like maybe Toronto is not on his desirable list, it would take some convincing to get him there. From all accounts, in Vegas, like you said, Vegas might be already on his 10-team list. So it really just comes down to what he wants to do. But it really just seems like the market is narrowed to it's just like, okay, if the going to the Capitals, that rumor came and went. Doesn't seem like he's going to do that. Colorado, Edmonton, Minnesota seem to be out. It's down to Vegas and Toronto if he wants to go anywhere.
Pittsburgh was a popular destination earlier in the year, but they've actually, Tristan Jarry's played real well. Mm-hmm. But he played really well last year until the playoffs came around. So but that doesn't seem like to be a destination. Yeah. I think a lot of fans in Pittsburgh wanted that to kind of be the storybook ending, come home where it all started, and he had his best seasons. But yeah, it's kind of come down to 2 teams, and as you said, if those 2 teams are not on his list, then all of these, my Kyle Dubas rant was for nothing.
Well, let's look at some of these other guys and just do a little quick rapid fire here. Where do you think Kubalik ends up?
I would think if I had to guess, I'd say he ends up in Edmonton. That seems like a Ken Holland type of move.
Yeah, it seems like he's been connected to them for some time now.
I mean, they got to see what he can do in the playoffs firsthand a couple of years ago.
Right.
So maybe
exactly.
maybe it's Stockholm syndrome why they want him so bad.
I mean, and yeah, like you said, like Edmonton needs defense, so why not get a depth scoring winger? Dylan Strohm. If he's on the market, where do you think he could go?
Man, there's so many teams that could use a Dylan Strohm.
Especially the way he's playing now.
Yeah, that's a tough call because there hasn't been a lot of rumblings about people looking to get him. I could see an Eastern, I could see the Rangers maybe making a run.
Get the Strohm brothers together.
They could be the second pair of brothers of all time to play on the same NHL team.
No comment on that.
Yeah. No, I could if I would say the Rangers just for fun.
Rangers? All right. Calvin Dahan.
I think he will end up one way or the other in Toronto.
Yep. Okay. I could see that. I could see if Fleury doesn't move, if Toronto doesn't go into the wade into the goalie waters, they have to address defense, and I think that they seemingly don't want to do it for a high price. So it makes sense that Calvin Dahan could be on their radar.
I could totally see Fleury and Dahan going to Toronto in the same trade.
Oh.
The return would be.
I'm just thinking about the return.
The return would be pretty sweet.
That would be a great return because that's when you're talking about.
That's when you get your Nick Robinson. That's when you get your first multiple picks. Give them two of those guys. Yeah.
What about a guy like Ryan Carpenter?
He's a guy that could probably play for any playoff team right now. He might be a guy that we talk about reunions in Vegas. Vegas might be calling the phone and wanting him back. He was part of that team that made it to the Stanley Cup final. Ryan Carpenter can play for any team. He can play for my team any day. I mean, he plays for them. But he's that guy. Playoff hockey was made for Ryan Carpenter. Mm-hmm. His style of game is perfect for the Stanley Cup playoffs. He's defensively responsible. He can play physical. He can
be a center or a wing.
Yeah, he's a good penalty killer. Hell, he could even stand in front of the net on the power play if you need him to. He's done that.
Chicago
He's a Swiss Army knife of players. He's a veteran. He's not going to hurt your team. So I don't know anybody that's going to be making the playoffs that needs a fourth line guy and a penalty killer. Will take him. So as far as where he goes, man, I don't know. Just to make a prediction, maybe I'm going to say Minnesota Wild.
You read my mind. I was just going to say
He's Minnesota needs.
Minnesota is a team that needs some depth. They're looking for experience, another centerman, and someone that can play gritty and tough minutes, and you get all of that with Ryan Carpenter. So I would look at Minnesota and say, hey, like
he's the best fit.
Get us a mid-round pick for Ryan Carpenter.
Absolutely.
That would be pretty nice. So if you enjoy CHGO, which we hope you are enjoying the CHGO Blackhawks podcast, if you enjoy CHGO White Sox or Cubs or Bears or the CHGO Sky podcast that we got going, if you like any of that, the best way to help us continue to grow and to support us is to download the PointsBet app and use the code CHGO when you sign up. Not only are you going to get 2 risk-free bets for up to $2,000, but if you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you'll receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content, and you'll even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. If you have any questions, email pointsbet@allchgo.com, and we'll help you out. And in case you missed it, online sign-up is now available in Illinois. You can actually download the PointsBet app right now and register your account from start to finish, all from your phone. So what are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet, live your bet life with PointsBet. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. Now, like we mentioned at the beginning of the show, it is March. It is bracket season. So we are.
I could see the rest of our wonderful staff here gathered around our TVs.
Yep, we got a couple.
We got basketball on all day here.
Couple
at the
TVs.
office.
We got some. We know the betting podcast is definitely taking some interest in some of these games for
all of the games.
All of the games. But even some of the games where we were guessing where the college is located, because we were just like, I don't know, I've never heard of this school. But there's some there's some money on the line. So it is it's the best part of college basketball is March. And so with the Blackhawks not having playoff hockey to talk about, we're talking about moving all these players. Let's have some fun. Let's create a bracket. So Greg, you've put a lot of work into this. So we are happy to unveil the March Madhouse Madness bracket.
Yeah, I thought it would be a fun idea. We're going to be putting up these regions starting today. We're going to reveal our first 2 regions, and then we're going to put these up on Twitter, and you guys get to vote. We've got 64 players. I put down, you guys are going to argue about my seedings, but that was kind of the point. The point was we're all about fan interaction here at CHGO. So this is a good way to get that CHGO_Blackhawks Twitter account rolling. We're going to have the polls up for the first 2 rounds. So I think, let's just get right to it. Let's reveal our first. It's the 300 level region.
I love it.
So these are our first.
Stan Mikita.
Our first 8 matchups of the March Madness. And of course, the 300 level region. Number 1 seed, Stan Mikita.
Yep.
Versus the 16 seed, Christopher
Steger.
That's
a tough matchup for Steger.
It is. I don't like his chances, but maybe we can get a fun rap out of him in the losers' locker room. I love Christopher Steger. He's one of my favorite Blackhawks from that Cup run. But yeah, tough one.
Tough draw.
Yeah.
Tough draw.
Then we got our 8-9 matchup. A couple of old names here. We got Kenny
Some
Warnham
classic
versus
Blackhawks.
Bill Mossienko. Man, this is blast from the past, 8-9 matchup. So this is another fun thing that I did building this, because I know a lot of our fans are people who came on board in 2010, younger fans that didn't become Blackhawk fans until the Cup years, and they don't know some of these names. So now some of our younger fans can now go look up a Kenny Warnham, go look up a Bill Mossienko, some of these other names, and learn about some of the great players from our past, which I love. I'm a history guy. I love it.
That's why I love the CHGO Blackhawks audience that we have, and because we have a lot of those younger fans that came on in the last decade or so, but we also have a lot of diehards that have been there for through the 60s and 70s, 80s and 90s, the dark days, all that, So I love this bracket because we got players from all those generations, and there's some interesting matchups.
As we look, we got our 4 versus 13. Mr. Goalie Glenn Hall, the Hall of Famer, versus Keith Brown, the rugged defenseman. That's an interesting one. I don't see an upset there, though.
Probably not.
What's our 5? Our 5, the most handsome man of the tournament, Patrick Sharp versus Daryl Sutter.
I like this matchup.
Oh, I love Daryl Sutter. I like that you made Daryl Sutter number 12. Didn't he? Or wait,
no,
did he wear 12 or is that Brent?
Brent wore number 12.
Wrong Sutter, brother.
No, wrong Sutter.
You're half right.
Yeah. No, I like this one. I would love to see these guys debate hockey.
Yes.
But that's a good matchup. All right. Then we got 3, Jeremy Roenick versus 14, Artemi Panarin.
This is my favorite matchup of this bracket.
This is a good one. I know people are going to say, oh, my God, why is the Breadman a 14 seed? Well, he played here for 2 years.
It was.
These are all-time Blackhawks.
Not a long time, but a good time.
Yes, he was he was the second best Blackhawk on the team while he was here. Maybe the best. Him in '88 were pretty darn good those 2 years. But we're talking big picture, entire history of the Blackhawks. That's about where he should be for those 2 years. But man, is that a fun matchup?
I love this.
That is some serious upset potential.
That could go either way, and I could also see it being like a 50-50 tie. I love it.
Well, if we have a 50-50 tie, it's whatever player sends us an autograph for our wall first gets the tiebreaker.
All right, so if Jeremy and Artemi are listening, we'll reach out.
All right, well, we got our 6-11 matchup. This is a good one, too. This is another upset possibility. Pitt Martin, number 6, versus Johnny Aduya, an 11th seed, one of those Stanley Cup winners. He might be seated a little higher than he deserved, but I like this matchup. I think we're going to see an upset here.
I mean, he has about 11 abs, so I think.
I was just going to say he's king of the shirtless parties. Yeah, that's a good matchup of seeing where our fan base is at.
Yeah. Then we got our 7-10, another solid one. Troy Murray. Some of us may only know him from his radio days, and it's good to see Troy getting back to the United Center a little bit. So
absolutely,
just give a shout out to Troy, and as he is battling his fight with cancer. We're all thinking of you, Troy. Love seeing you back. But we gave you a tough matchup. You know, you wouldn't want it any other way. The player was a tough guy. So he's got to take on Nikolai Khabibulin. Now, he's a 10 seed for his first run with the Blackhawks. That second run.
Yeah, the second
that
run.
First time around was pretty good.
A little bit forgettable.
So, yeah, Murray versus Khabibulin.
Bulin Wall. Love the Bulin
two
Wall.
goalies in the same region.
I'm
That's
taking Troy. You got to go with Troy. Come on, people. We got to go for Troy.
And then finally, we're going to wrap it up with our 2-15, two former teammates twice. Duncan Keith versus Brandon Saad. I loved the Saad father, but I think it's an early exit. There's no way Duncan Keith loses in the first round, is there?
I don't think so, even though Brandon Saad is very beloved in this town. I think that the biggest qualm I have is that Johnny Oduya is an 11 seed and Brandon Saad is a 15 seed. Yeah, well, I mean, that's a rough draw for Saad.
Well,
he should
be higher.
Saad should be a second. He should be getting to the second round, but I don't think he will be.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the Saad father, but hey.
Yeah, well, you can yell at
us.
You can. You know what? The selection committee doesn't always get it right every year. So why should this be any different?
All right, I like it. So yeah, the 300 level region. It's got some heavy hitters in it.
Check out Twitter, the CHGO_Blackhawks Twitter account later this afternoon. All those matchups will be going live, and you can vote. Let us know who you think deserves to get to the round of 32. Just like today, 2 regions are going on the basketball court. We got 2 regions going live. This might be my favorite region, just for the name. It's the Detroit Sucks region. Yeah, you got to have a Detroit Sucks region. So I think this will be, there we go. As you can see by who is photographed there, we're going to tell you that it's Patrick Kane is the number 1 seed.
There's Brent Sutter.
There's number 12, Brent Sutter.
There he
is. That's a
little
tough draw for him.
Foreshadowing from Lawrence earlier, but Patrick Kane versus Brent Sutter is our 116 matchup. Thanks for playing, Brent Sutter. We'll see you next year.
Out.
8-9. Ooh, this is a good one.
That's
Bob Murray.
Very good.
Former Ducks general manager, but longtime Blackhawks defenseman versus Chico Mackey, another longtime fan favorite. So that's a matchup for our more experienced fan base. I don't want to say older because I fall in that line too.
Yes.
So
that's for veterans.
That's for our fans that may need to have their kids show them how to use Twitter to get their vote.
Seriously.
4-13. We got Dennis Hall, the
Max
Silver
Bentley.
Jet, and Max Bentley. Max Bentley, if you are old enough to see Max Bentley play, there's no way you know how to use Twitter. But congratulations. Yeah, that should be an easy get through for the Silver Jet.
Probably. I would say so.
One of my favorites of all time. Number 5, the Eagle, Ed Belfour versus Ed Litzenberger.
Ed versus Ed.
Yeah, a couple of there you go. Ed squared for 5-12. Litzenberger has one of my favorite names in Blackhawk history, but I don't like his chances against the Eagle.
I don't either.
He's not getting one past
Ed Belfour in this region so far. I know we got to reveal still the second half of it, but he's got upset potential in the entire region.
He's a sleeper. He's a sleeper.
I like
that.
that.
As the industry term is, the sleeper. 3-14. Ooh, look at this one. This is a good one, too.
Whoa, what a
number
matchup.
3, Brent Seabrook versus number 14, Dustin Bufflin.
Whoa.
That is some serious beef getting thrown around right there.
That's a heavy hitter in this entire bracket going out in the first round, either way it goes.
The 3-14 matchups so far have been the best.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Big Buff. Low
Bufflin,
seed, though.
again, not a long time, but a good time here in Chicago.
That 2010 Cup run, that series against Vancouver, that series against San Jose cemented him as a hero.
There might be more people
fans
around the league that remember Dustin Bufflin for his time in Chicago than his time in Winnipeg.
Absolutely. I think so. I mean, he definitely had much bigger impact that 1 year, 2 years in Chicago than he did his whole time in Winnipeg.
Brent Seabrook, that's a tough matchup out of the gate.
We got another Bentley. We got 2 of the 3 Bentley brothers in the same region. Doug Bentley has the 6 versus Bill Hay at the 11. That's another old school matchup. That is a hockey reference matchup right there. You're going to have to do some research to choose correctly. Can't go wrong with either one of those guys. Here's a couple of tough guys.
I like this
Number
matchup.
7, Al Secord versus number 10, Tom Lyciak. 2 fan favorites.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe these guys should have belonged in the 300 level region because they are fans. Like the 300 level loves these types of players. But
loves them.
Man, I got to go with the fighting pilot, Al Secord, one of
Yeah.
my all-time favorites.
One of the more underrated players of
Guy
that
had 50
era.
goal seasons with the Hawks.
Yeah.
And then he beat the crap out of you if you even looked at Dennis Savard fight.
I'm gonna be going with Secord in that
Yeah, I
one.
think. Well, if you don't, he punches you. So there you go. And then speaking of Savard, his buddy, we could possibly have an Al Secord Dennis Savard second round matchup.
Wow.
That would be fun. Andrew Shaw, the 15 seed. Sorry, buddy, you're an all-time favorite. I think he'll get some
Tough
love against
matchups.
Dennis Savard.
He'll
Out
get
of all
some
of our
love. He'll get some
out of
votes.
all of our 2 versus 15 matchups, this one will probably be the closest.
Yeah.
But there's no way. There's no way Denny.
Savoir
loses.
faire is everywhere, baby.
Yeah, I want to see an Al Secord Dennis Savard second round. matchup.
We might have a Kane Savard regional final,
That'd
and
be
that's going to be
perfect.
very interesting
That'd
to
be
see if
perfect.
if it gets to that point.
2 guys that play the same style of hockey,
Mm-hmm.
and both 2 of the most popular players of all time. Should
Patrick
be fun.
Kane's first coach.
There you go. Yeah.
All right, I have a question about the who was the seeding committee, because this Bufflin is a 14 and Johnny O'Dea is an 11. I'm curious about
you
that
are
one.
Well,
you are
all
looking
right.
at him
Well,
in the
all
Teenage
right.
Mutant Ninja Turtle shirt.
Here's the reasoning behind that. O'Dea won 2 Stanley Cups with the Blackhawks. They don't win the 15 Cup without him. Let's be honest. They needed that 4th guy. Bufflin was only here for 1. So there you go.
Okay, all right.
I mean,
2
okay.
cups
sure.
is better than 1
Cups
cup.
in the room.
That is true. Yeah.
And the return we got for Bufflin was a major disappointment too. So
Well, is that
that's
his
another
fault?
story. Well,
I don't
maybe.
think that's his fault.
It can be. I can
Well, yeah, I'm very excited to see how this plays out online. Like Greg said, once the show's over here, we're going to put both of these regions out, the 300 level region and the Detroit Sucks region. That'll be up to be voted on Twitter.
You know, I think what we'll do, we haven't really decided, but we'll let you guys vote throughout the weekend. We'll use the whole weekend as our first round tournament.
Yeah, we're stretching this tournament.
We're going to spread this out. We don't want this to just be one week. We're going to spread it out through like the duration of the NCAA tournament. So we got
What else do we got to do?
Yeah, exactly. It's not like we got a lot.
Once-
after Monday, there's
after
not going to be a
Monday,
lot to talk about.
That might be the most exciting thing we talk about.
You know, so we're going to have 2 more regions on tomorrow's show. We will have the Cheering the Anthem region and the Madhouse region going live tomorrow. And then you guys will have all weekend. We'll wrap it up Sunday, and then we'll announce our winners next week right here on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast. A little fun, interactive. Let's have some fun with us. Let's hear your comments. Let's see what you guys think. And this is all up to you. You guys get to decide who the winners are. I came up with the seedings. The rest is up to all of our great CHGO Blackhawk fans.
And I'm not going to give away any spoilers for tomorrow's regions, but if you thought there were some spicy matchups today, woo! Check out tomorrow.
Second day of the tournament is always the best. Baby.
There are some spicy matchups in these next 2 upcoming regions. So yeah, that'll be a lot of fun to see how it plays out online. And yeah, I mean, what's a better place to have debates and arguments than Twitter, right?
Absolutely. That's what it's made for. Yeah, I know we want to see if we can get votes up on Discord as well. I don't know if there's a poll option on Discord. We can look into that. I don't know enough about Discord. I'm out of that age bracket. So I will
Yeah,
let's see.
we'll work on it. We'll work on it, see how we can get
There
that
you go.
get that all put together. But yeah, so that'll be a lot of fun.
Stacey's new T-shirt idea. That's some big meat getting thrown around. I appreciate that.
I love out of context T-shirts. I know there's a company called Obvious Shirts. Can we start one called Out of Context Shirts?
I think we just did.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good one. Yeah, trust me, we can have a lot of out of context shirts that can get people arrested.
So yeah, you hear us talking about PointsBet on the show here as one of our sponsors. We got a new sponsor coming on board, Athletic Greens. I was very interested to see them coming on board. Recently, I got excited because they have this AG1 formula that is a tremendous supplement. I've been using it ever since they came on as a sponsor. It's designed to improve your gut health, optimize your immune system, and just give you more natural energy. And in just 1 scoop of their AG1 supplement, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. And it fits with a multitude of different lifestyle diets. I sometimes try to eat a little bit gluten-free when I can. But, you know, whether it's gluten-free or keto or paleo or vegan or dairy-free, With AG1, you're good to go. And it's easy to incorporate into your life as well. No matter how busy you might be, it's a small, once-a-day habit with really big benefits. And right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. Just one scoop in a cup of water every day. That's all you need to do. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/CHGO Blackhawks. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/CHGO Blackhawks to take ownership of your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. And I know it's that time of year where, the weather's changing. It's getting hot and cold day to day. We had a beautiful day yesterday, beautiful day today, but I know a lot of people at this time of year get susceptible to colds. AG1 with Athletic Greens is a good way to boost that immune system and make sure that you're, staying healthy this spring.
Hop on that Athletic Greens ride.
Hop on the AG1 ride, right?
There you go. It's the thing that I like about that the most. Instead of having to take 50 pills, take these.
Yeah.
It's one glass.
I was trying to get on the, the multivitamins and getting on the zinc and the vitamin D and blah, 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 blah. And I'm getting older and my hair is getting thinner. So I'm taking some biotin. Like, I'm just trying to get all these things. With AG1, it's just like scoop, done. You're good to go. I don't have to swallow 6-7 pills a morning or
it's
anything like
packaging
that.
Calvin Dahan and Marc-Andre Fleury together.
Exactly.
All in one cup.
One scoop of
Full
Dahan,
circle, folks. We brought it
Dahan,
full
Fleury,
circle.
and Kubalik, and you get all these picks and prospects.
Get all your needs made in one trade.
Hey, speaking of trades, I just wanted to go back to this comment in the chat from Annihilator. Do you guys think the Hawks could get someone like Capo Caco in a hypothetical Dylan Strohm trade? Did I say that even remotely correctly?
Yes, you did.
Nicely done. Nicely done. What's your finish prospect?
With a Dylan Strohm trade, I don't think you can get Capo Caco straight up for Dylan Strohm. I don't think you're gonna get him plus anything else for Dylan Strohm. I think that would have to be like Blackhawks sending Dylan Strohm and a mid-round or value pick to the Rangers to get him and maybe something else.
Really aren't in a position to be giving away draft picks right now. And,
right.
And I don't know if the Rangers are really looking to move him. That doesn't. I mean,
no.
I would. I don't know if I would take if it was 1-for-1. I guess I would take. That
yeah,
trade,
of course.
But I don't think it's realistically can do a 1-for-1. Maybe you can come up with some agreement. But if it involves the Blackhawks sending, value round picks in return, it just doesn't make sense at this point.
I think the only way that he's coming back in a trade with the Rangers is if it's involving Patrick Kane. I think that's the level of player that you're going to be sending to the Rangers to get that kind of prospect back,
and
plus anything else of value.
That's
from
a trade that's going to happen in the offseason, not by
it's
Monday.
That's not a deadline.
A deal
move.
for Patrick Kane is not getting done between now and Monday. So yeah, you're right.
No.
Capo Cacan maybe in a Patrick Kane deal, not a Dylan Strohm deal.
Maybe in a Brandon Hagel deal, but we're not looking to move Brandon Hagel as we've had to say many times.
Our
on
legal
this show.
department says we have to say that one time a show.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean it's an exciting time. I think this is kind of the last couple of days of exciting times for the Blackhawks this season, because once we get past this year or this week. Once we get past Monday, it's going to be a lot of, who's this prospect? Oh, this prospect's coming up. This one's going down. And you're going to be paying attention a lot more to, the development of the young players that are be coming in and out of the lineup, and just kind of paying attention to those guys. And one that we're going to be seeing. We're going to be wrapping it up shortly here, but we just want to touch on Alex Vlasic. He signed to his entry-level deal on Tuesday. He was at practice today for the first time.
Large individual.
Yes, we both were there earlier today. He is tall. We can confirm that. And yeah, I mean it's his first practice. Didn't really get a lot. They didn't really run too much. I think Derek King said after practice today he's a little unsure how he wants to use Vlasic in the lineup, if he'll even get into the lineup this weekend. We'll see what happens with that. But yeah, I mean, that's going to be a player that is going to be in the lineup eventually.
Right.
if not this weekend, it'll then have to be after the trade deadline, and there'll probably be some lineup spots open
if not,
for
get
him.
him down to Rockford. They could use him.
Absolutely, yeah. So that'll do it for this first non-post-game edition of the CHGO Blackhawks podcast. We're back at it again tomorrow, and it'll be more of the Madhouse Madness bracket reveal, and it'll be it'll just be hopefully another sunny day.
I hope so. I like it in here.
And I think between now and tomorrow's show, I'm going to say we have at least one trade to talk about. I'm going to say that right now.
All right.
At least one actual Blackhawks trade to talk about.
Is there a bet for that on Points Bet?
I'll email them.
I like to throw a couple
and see if we can get some special bets going. But that'll do it for today. For Greg Boysen, I'm Mario Tirabassi, and we will see you next time.